Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS. It's time for Owin's Field Report, sponsored by Les Schwab Tire Centers.
Now, like I mentioned just a little bit ago, I spent a day with the folks from 540 Training learning how to shoot a pistol correctly with a red dot. Now, that was my Tuesday. Long day. Other than that, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, yesterday morning, chasing ducks. It's just, again, there's no sense in saying it over and over again, but that's all I really think about this time of year. Other than steelhead, which are on our doorstep, no question. Actually, some reports that were shared with me this week of some success locally and along the coast. Believe it or not, actually got photos. I don't have permission to show them, but there seems like there's some fish around. Now, is that an indication that we can look forward to a good beginning of the season and a long steelhead season all the way through April? No. What it means is that there's some early fish around and some folks were lucky enough to find them. Simple. It's just, if you don't go out, you can't come across them. But it's all about conditions. We'll show you a little bit of the river levels here in just a little bit. Again, for me, though, it was chasing ducks. I went west. I went east. I don't even know how many miles I put on my Chevy Silverado, which, thank you, by the way, Chevrolet, for letting me run such a fantastic truck. Covered a lot of miles and tried to find mallards. I am literally so over anything other than mallards. It's not that I'm a snob, and I've mentioned that here before. I'm not a purist when you're talking about duck hunting. I'm about opportunities and getting birds to do something that they don't want to do the right way, feet down, 20-yard kind of scenario. That's duck hunting. To make that happen was certainly not easy, and again, it was literally just cover as much ground as possible, scout, find, and then try to get to them. Now, if you paid attention to KPTV, KPDX this week, there were some extremely high east winds, and that made things certainly a challenge. But when the birds get pushed around, you just got to find where they get pushed to, and you can be successful. Now, unfortunately, yesterday didn't pan out, hopefully, or like we had hoped to have happen. But the days prior, as you can tell by some of the photos, Drago had a pretty decent week. So they're around. But for whatever reason, and again, this is what I'm seeing in the areas that I get to spend my time. Everyone's got a little bit different take because you're going to be in different areas. I have not seen what I would call any migrating birds, a push of birds that just all of a sudden weren't there the day before, migrators. Now, that being said, I've got reports from folks that are further south of us that are saying that they've been getting fresh birds for the last week plus. Where the heck are they? Are they just going right over the? I don't know. Other parts of the country, Arkansas, other flyways, they're getting massive pushes of I almost said fish, of birds coming down. And again, that's all about the conditions that are up in Canada, forcing them down. Let's just hope our turn comes around. I will say, the reports that I'm getting north of us, for all of you duck hunters, there is a ton of ducks north of where I'm spending my time, and they're not moving. They've got so much food north of us that they're literally not moving. Very, very frustrating. Very frustrating. Just cross your fingers for cold, cold, cold. Somehow, some reason why, push them further south. Again, maybe I'm being a little bit greedy there. But overall, river conditions, if you're going to start paying attention to your opportunities to chase steelhead, are, I'm not going to say improving, but they're certainly, after today, you'll see a little bit of a change. You're going to have a nice little bounce here on some of our local rivers and along the coast. Doesn't last long, which is great. It's just a little freshet, right? Just a little bit of stink that goes into the river that might draw some of the steelhead up into the systems. So what may not have been there a handful of days ago because of low, clear water conditions could very well change, but it's not going to be huge. But we do have another bounce that starts to come in before this upcoming weekend. So again, just like anything else, it's all about water. It's all about having conditions that will put the fish in the areas that you wish them to be, right? Which is where you're going to be fishing. I don't know if that's the best way to put it, but at least it made sense to me. Anyway, these opportunities are going to get better and better and better as we go through December, and then things are going to get really interesting into January. So paying attention to whatever systems that you're fishing on, this is just a good way to make sure that you are a couple of steps ahead of the game when you do get that chance to get out there for the first time this year. Not everybody's been chasing them, but there's certainly been some that have, and there's been, like I mentioned, small little bits of success out there. Nothing too dramatic yet. But if maybe you would like to have yourself a free drift boat, maybe you'd like to have somebody like the CCA do a drawing, a contest where you might have a chance to win one for free. And it's a matter of fact happening today at 7 p.m. online. They're going to do a live drawing for their drift boat. You can enter in to win right now. You can go over to the CCA's website, enter in to have that chance to win that drift boat. I believe it's an B&R or R&B boat, excuse me, that they have up for that giveaway. Good luck. I can tell you right now, you might have an opportunity to use it here sometime soon if you win. Right? And you're not going to win if you don't try. Also, they've got a meeting coming up in Southwest Washington. It's their CCA meeting that they have, I believe, monthly. But at the very least, for you folks that are over there, Wednesday the 11th starts at 6 p.m. If you're already a member, go hang out with them, find out what they're up to real time. And if you're not, it'll be a great opportunity for you to go meet folks and maybe become a member of CCA where you can help out in the future. Also, if you like free stuff, you can send my buddy Jason Hambley over there at Procure an email, and he might have a chance to win a prize pack designed for Steelhead. Lots of giveaway stuff. It's that time of year, everyone. It's Christmas, right? All of our decorations at my house are up, except for the lights outside. I haven't had that kind of time yet. And I'm not going to do it in the rain, Lana. It's not going to happen. We got a couple of phone calls. We're going to get to those in just a second, but let's check in with Carly Olson and find out what this weather is going to do. And we love to see a little bit of rain come in. It just doesn't look like it's going to last very long.
Yes, well, this week is a bit of a rain sandwich, right? We start with some rain, we end with some rain, and guess what? There's also some mountain snow. I'll talk about that in just a second, but for now, our highs for the day here in Portland, 50 degrees, down in Salem and Albany, 53. We've got some mid-50s over on the coast and some mid-40s over in eastern Oregon. They start the day with some sunshine before giving way to a bit of a wintry mix this afternoon. As I said, you know, most of the day here in Portland is going to be pretty rainy up and down the I-5 corridor. Over on the coast, they've got some rain too, but then in the later afternoon hours, we get a bit of a break there. Overnight, we have another pattern beginning, which is just some scattered showers, interspersed with some breaks here and there. That should last throughout the day tomorrow as well. And look at that, the mountain snow there. That is right in line with what the National Weather Service says. They have issued a winter weather advisory for today, starting at 4, lasting through tomorrow at 4 as well. We should see at least several inches of snow at the government Camp Pass levels, perhaps a foot of snow higher up on the mountain as well. So do keep that in mind if you have any travel plans here throughout the day tomorrow. We should have a scattered showers pattern with some sun breaks here and there as well. And then Monday is a bit more of a cloudy day with some sun breaks too, but expected to be mostly dry. And then we're expecting some showers to actually return on Thursday after a bit of a dry streak here. Some morning fog for Monday through Wednesday there, and temperatures returning to the mid-40s. But just like I said, you know, we've got some rainy days to start things off and then rainy days to end things. So there's a little bit of something for everybody this week.
I love it. Actually, it's a nice little mix to have. Hopefully it'll break things up a little bit for everyone. Carly, thank you as always for the update. All right, before we get to a couple of phone calls, one about geese, one about steelhead, I had a question from an individual while we were actually out hunting this week. I can't remember if it was Wednesday or Thursday. It was a guy that was watching what we were doing and asked him, he basically asked for a little bit of advice. And I'll admit, as a duck hunter, it's not very easy for folks to ask questions, right? A lot of times, a lot of folks won't, and this guy did, and I was going to answer. I did answer it for him. I'm going to answer it here again because I thought it was a good question. Stale birds. That's what I'm dealing with. That's what a lot of folks right now are dealing with. The question was, how do you get them to react to a call? You literally have to, and we've talked about this over the years, you have to watch the bird and understand what it is that they're doing, how they're reacting to your call. There was a couple of times where we had birds that were just simply not wanting to listen, and I was doing things that you would typically not normally do, which was to highball in their face constantly into the decoys, because the instant that I would stop, they would turn out for whatever reason. Ducks are ducks. They're just like humans. Sometimes they're in the mood, sometimes they're not. But I had to force feed them that call to get them to cooperate, to get to the decoys. So from a distance, it looked crazy, but in the end, stale birds sometimes take a little bit more effort with the call. But again, now that being said, you have to read the birds. Sometimes if you call too much or call at all, they will be deterred. So you just got to watch their attitude. Are they showing you their back? Are their heads up? Are their heads down? These are little things that you can learn over time to read what those birds want, or at least what they want to do. If you know, you know. Let's talk to Ludi. from Oregon City has a question about geese. Ludi, I'll do the best I can. I don't pay any attention to geese most of the time, but I'll try to help out any way I can. What's going on?
Well, I know you're a duck guy, but I've seen numerous flocks of geese, and they're generally supposed to go south for the winter. I've always understood, been raised that way, looking, yeah, they're headed south. But these birds, every flock that I've seen, that was just prior to all the fog that we've had, are going northeast.
Okay.
I got a son that lives in Canby. He called me up and he said, Dad, are you watching the geese? And I said, no, I haven't really paid attention. And he says, well, next time you see a flock of geese, call me up and let me know what way they're going. And I happened to be outside one day, looked up, I heard a bunch of geese going over, looked up, and they're going northeast. I took my phone out, got my compass. I said, yep, they're going northeast.
Yeah. Well, typically what you'll find...
hundreds of them.
Typically what you'll find, Ludi, is, again, this being the first week of December, you're not going to see any reverse migration of Canadas right now. Not talking about snows or specks, and not necessarily that that's relevant to it, because you're probably seeing cacklers in big groups that are moving northeast. Typically what you're going to find is birds that are roosting in one area, and they'll fly all over. It doesn't matter what direction they're going to go find food, or wherever that food source is that they're keyed in on. If it's a field, if it's a river, whatever it might be, they will travel north in any number of directions to go to food coming from their roost. Now, migrators, yeah, are typically going to be heading south, but they'll go south, they'll find a place to roost, and then they'll turn right back around, go northeast to go back to a location that is either a spot that they're already keyed in on, imprinted on to feed. So, I mean, that's the guess that I'm going to give you on that one, because there is no reverse migration as of right now, it being the first week of December. But it is a bit of a weird year with the way the water conditions are. La Nina is a good thing when you're talking about bird hunting, for waterfowl in particular. But I would say that those birds are probably just going from a roost to a place to feed before they come back. Typically, that's what they're going to be doing this time of year, because there's not a lot of panic in them. It hasn't been frozen for nearly enough time to get them panicked, which is what we look forward to. We'll see if that happens. Mike is from Salem. He's got a question about steelhead. Mike, what's going on?
Question about traditional LC run of hatchery steelhead.
Yeah.
You may not know, but are there any hatcheries still releasing, thus getting a very early Turkey Day plus traditional run of steelhead? I know you don't like the name rivers, but for every viewer that gets upset with you for naming them, there's viewers that get upset that you don't name them. So my guess would be North Fork of the Nehalem and the Alsea. Am I wrong on those? And is there any others?
No, if I heard that correctly, and it was a little muffled for me, but no, you're right. Those are the only systems that are going to have. I don't know if I could say specifically that the Alsea strain that was spread around all over the place in the state of Oregon and other areas. But the North Fork and the Alsea, yeah. I mean, there's definitely some fish that are, I typically don't talk about locations when you're talking about steelhead fishing, but the North Fork of North Fork of the Nehalem does get that early return hatchery fish, and they've already been productive there. But yes, I would say that you are correct, and they are not spread out anymore. So there are not any more of those November returning hatchery fish like we had 15, 20 years ago, unfortunately. There's a number of reasons why that is, but in the end, it's unfortunate that we don't have that crossover. But I'm a huge fan, everyone, I'm a huge fan of broodstock programs. And those broodstock programs do generally produce fish that return later, as opposed to what we used to get with that Alsea strain being an early returning winter steelhead. Anyway, hopefully that answers your question, Michael. All right, we're going to cut to a break. When we come back, I've got James Holman from 540 Training. We're going to talk about the day that I spent with him this week, learning how to shoot a pistol with a red dot specifically. And that's something that they do, if I'm right, they're the only ones that do that. We'll have that when we come back from this break.
Outdoor GPS is brought to you by P-Line, because we fish, by Hawken Fishing, perfection in fishing gear, and by Haxton's Canvas and Upholstery, the trusted name of the Pacific Northwest.